Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader, with a quick update on Bitcoin. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Alright, here we have the Bitstamp chart. I'm looking at the 4-hour currently. And basically what we got here is our blue Fibonacci goes all the way back to the big crash. We came up and put in our top, and so far we have not quite made it down to the 236 in blue here. And then we also have in green from our local low, which was at the 88.10 after we topped out the initial run, just over like 10.3 and a quarter. From there to the top here, we came up, put in the top, came down to our 236, fell straight through it to the 618, and made it just a little lower than the 618. From there, we got a 2 fib level bounce back up to the 382. Got denied by the 200 simple moving average, and then fell back down. When we fell back down, we were able to find support slightly higher, just above the 618, and now we've come up again to the 382. So what I'm looking for right here is, are we going to be able to get that one more push up here and take out this high and make it potentially back to the 236 and that 11.5 or 11.4 range and retest the breakdown support as resistance? Or are we going to fail here, put in a lower high, and then come down and put in a lower low as well? If we do come back down, I would expect us to come down to the 786 in green and the 236 in blue. That would be our first target at 9,500. It's also going to be the retest of this resistance area from the previous run up. So, but at the time, we are currently getting this signature right here after the hard sell signal comes in like that, and then we stay above it. The histogram stays above it, and then we flip the slope back over blue and get the buy signal at the top of the range. That is a divergence sell signal, like a topping out signal. If you look right here, we get the hard sell. Histogram moves above the slope. We're able to flip it over blue. We get that one big push up, and then we get the large stab from the knife and the buy signal at the top of the range, followed by a sell signal, and then we continue to sell off. Now this is the 4-hour I'm looking at right now. But look right here again. We get the distribution zone, hard sell signal at the top of the trend, and then after that we get the cross back up one more time, powerful knife stab up, top of the range, hard buy signal. Now we could pop up here and get that big move, get that attempted breakout, and then it fails, and that was like a stop hunt or a slingshot being pulled back before it shoots it downward, and that's what I would expect when this divergence signal comes in. So that's what I'm paying attention to right now. That's what I'm looking out for. I was really hoping to see that 1150 target get hit. We have not quite gotten up there yet, but it's still a possibility. Paying attention obviously to CMEs as well, and see what they're showing us. So here is Ethereum. Same. Actually, let me switch back over real quick and talk about the moving averages. Essentially, our moving averages here, the 200s, are just below us, and we've consolidated on top of them and potentially getting a move up right now. If you look at the moving average on the CME chart, you'll see we're just below it, so we're very close to coming up and tagging the 200 at 11,150, and that's what I'm looking for over here. And then at that point in time, I'm going to see, does this slope line break? Do we break down from it, or do we get the continuation to the upside? And then now for Ethereum, we essentially finally made it up to that exponential 200. Once again, I was expecting us to come up to the 200 simple, which would put us at the 375 range. And same exact signature right here. We're getting the crossover to the upside. We have the slope. We have the buy signal. We just have to see how that plays out. Do we get the divergence and sells off, or do we get the continuation? And Tezos next, XTZ, basically sold off, came all the way down to the 0.5. I'm switching over to the daily on this one, which lined up also with the 377. Closed below it a couple times, but then we were able to find support. We are now attempting to come back up and retest the 21, flip the parabolic star back over green, signaling the uptrend. We got the hard buy signal, but after a long trending up move like that, you would expect to see mostly red, and then for a long trending move down, you would expect to see mostly green. So we're paying attention now. Are we able to flip the histogram back over and change the slope? Be able to get continuation. Tezos looks very weak in comparison to most other cryptos right now. Did already make it down to the 0.5, so there's much less room for it to keep going down in the event that it does continue to sell off. But the next target would be down here at $1.77, and then finally we're looking for $1.37. But again, it's basically giving back a larger portion of its run than the other cryptos are. Now here we have Link on the daily as well. Same deal. We've got the move all the way up to the top here at almost $20. Initially sold back off to the 200 exponential, didn't quite make it to the 200 simple. We've now been able to push back up a powerful move from the 382 back to the 236. That was our initial target. If we get rejected at the 236, I would expect us to come down to the 0.5 at $5.51, or potentially $4. And last resort is essentially $2.63, which was our entrance way back over here. We have obviously taken quite a bit of profits along the way, and basically out of Link, took advantage of that last pop-up. Missed this one, unfortunately, was not paying attention. UNI, I'm on the 4 hour again for this one. We've got the cross back over. We're below the 8 and 21 and 50s. This one looks it looks bearish as of right now. Looks like we're going to continue selling off, but we have to play it by ear. We could get another move back up like this, but really have to just watch what the market's telling us. Stoch slope has us all the way at the bottom of the range, so we could potentially get a nice move back up to the top here. 458 back up to, I don't think we make it back up to 9, but we've obviously sold off over 50% of the price since then. PIVX on the daily essentially came all the way back up to the 377 and got denied pretty strongly. We had a couple large wicks above it and then sold back off. So now I would expect the same thing to happen. We did get the death cross on this one on the daily. It's trying to push back up right now. Can't get above the 8 or the 21. Got denied right at the 200 exponential. And now here we are closing below the 200 simple. The darker blue one right here. So if we can't close above the 200 simple, we're just going to keep selling off and go down to our next fib target. So, and in this case, we is basically just consolidating at the 382 currently. I would expect us to hit the next target, the 0.5 at 28.5 cents. If we can't hold right here, which as of now it does not look like we're doing, because we're just basically selling off, and then we'll dump down to the next target. Could get down to the 618 though at 23.6 cents. So that either one of those would be our next targets. And then the S&P, I was expecting us actually to get one more push back up to the upside here and hit our top target at 36.59. We have not quite made it up there yet. Would correspond way better to the fibs, where we've been consolidating, where we found support so far. But if you assume that we did top out here, made it down basically to the 236, retesting the 8 and 21, found support on the 89. Next target would be the 200 exponential at 31.27, and then later on down here to 29.68, back down to the 528, just past the 377. But if we break through those moving averages, come down to the next fib level, I would expect us to find some support right there. We are at the bottom of the range on the daily, about to get the hard buy signal after the cross. Typically reliable. We usually get a sell-off right after that and then find support. So I would expect us to come down to the 200 moving averages, like 31.45, find support, and then move up, potentially get that high. And Apple, Apple's a good one to watch. Obviously a market leader, obviously very important stock, and long-term potential is obviously there as well. We are getting the hard buy signal, but keep in mind we got all this red in a row. We expect to see a bunch of green in a row now on a retracement. We got the bounce off the 89, found support at the 236. I would expect us to come up here, put in a lower high, and then continue to sell off. This initial sell off from like 140 down to basically 100, basically a 33% sell off. Quite a big deal. After that, I would expect at least a dead cat bounce back up, attempt to put in a lower high here, and then sell back off. Lower high, I would expect to come in closer to like 124 range if we can get continuation to the upside. If we keep selling off, I would expect us to come down here and find support around like $98, $96, and then also the 200 moving averages and the 0.5 retracement, so somewhere in between like the $85 and $88 range as well. Overall, it doesn't look bad now, but we got the cross down. We're trying to stay above the 8 and the 21. If we can stay up here long enough, we can cross them back up and get continuation. And then finally, let's take a look at silver. Silver on the weekly basically had a massive run from on the paper markets, $11.57 all the way up to $30, so almost like a 3x. Came back down to the yellow 21 moving average right now, closing just below the 236. Next target, if this falls through here, would be 2090, and then 1864 is a very strong support if we come all the way down to here with the moving average and Fibonacci's. I don't know if we'll get down that low, but paper markets potential is definitely there. Based on oscillator indicators, definitely looks like we're going to get continuation here. But I look at that honestly as a buying opportunity. So same with gold as well, although it's not quite as volatile. But the silver spot markets are still quite a bit above that. Same with gold. I think we're looking at like a 15% premium at the moment. So they are still relatively high. But we'll see if the volume starts to really come in and people start really buying this asset, or same type of thing. If markets stay strong, I would expect basically like I would expect a little bit of money to flow back out of gold and silver potentially. I would expect the DXY to sell off a little bit as well. So I have to play that one by ear, see how it works out. Matter of fact, I could take a look at that as well. DXY, we got the powerful move up here, found support, top of the range, found resistance on the 89, found support again on the green slope trend line. So we're here. I would expect us to get the pop back up next to the 200 exponential moving average at about 96, or potentially if this area fails, come back down and retest like the 50 or the 21 down here at that 93.25, 93.50 range, somewhere around there. Definitely a powerful move up from the bottom. I would expect to see more time in the bearish distribution zone, or in the distribution zone, before we get like a hard sell signal like this. But right now it looks like a strong trending move on the daily. You can switch over to the weekly. Same thing, found support on the 528, closed below 377 quite a bit, got that powerful push up, almost made it to the 21. And you can see we are getting the hard buy signal at the bottom of the accumulation range after a long trending move on the weekly. Histogram is facing up here. This looks like it's the beginning of a long move back up, at least to retest the breakdown, which would be like that 98.73 range long term. Retest the breakdown from this area, and then find support essentially at that diagonal. Continue putting in this triangle range. We basically had a bust out of the top, a bust out of the bottom, and then we just consolidate back inside the range here before we get our true measure move, which would be a massive move out of the bottom or a massive move out of the top, depending on what happens with the economy, depending on what happens with the Fed and the dollar overall. So there you have it, guys. Crypto Trend Trader with a weekly recap review. Get this week started. I'm expecting huge volatility as we come up closer to the election, as we have more lockdowns and more cases coming in as we go into the winter months. So there you have it, guys. Crypto Trend Trader, and I'm out of here.